Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 4, Episode 23.
Or Episode 93 if you're counting.
Let us know if you guys have any issues with the stream. We did notice some dropping just before our actual stream got started, but I think we're okay right now. As always, we just kind of have this issue with Twitch, but
hopefully we've had all our dropping for the evening pre-show, not during the show, because that would be awesome to not have to cobble together
I
clips.
did pick another server, so we should be okay, I think.
I hope so, I really do.
In any case, I, as always, want to thank our Patreon contributors who come to us from patreon.com/MarsGirl. As always, you can see their names in the ticker below. If you so want to have your name or something of yours, a website or something perhaps, advertised through us, you can absolutely do that by going to patreon.com/MarsGirl, and we'll get your name down in the ticker below as well, and you tell me what it is you want to advertise too. So,
yes.
That's going to be at the $10 and above level. So,
yes.
Thank you to you guys who continue to make this happen on a weekly basis, as well as all the other bits and pieces of programming and everything. What's been going on this past week since we've been at the computer?
I know some people were curious, so I'm going to talk about it. The epic thing that happened this past weekend. People were wondering how it was going to go, and I'm going to talk about it right now. I went to a trampoline park and I totally screwed up my leg.
You threw up, too.
I threw up, yeah. So background for that, instead of just jumping right into that. We have a trampoline park here in town called Thin Air.
It's one of many trampoline parks, actually, but
yeah,
this one I think is probably the best one.
Most well-maintenance.
Allows for a lot more adults and stuff, so, yeah.
Yeah, and it's huge. It's built inside of an old Walmart, so there's a lot of space in there. And
that was an old Walmart?
It used to be the old Walmart. Oh, no, not Walmart, Kmart. That's what I meant, Kmart.
Oh, see, I hadn't moved into San Antonio before Kmart's all disappeared from San Antonio.
Yeah, but that used to be the old Kmart.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway, point being, this place is awesome. Funny story,
Thanks,
that was the first thing we did after we got married, was we went there because I had won tickets that morning.
Yeah, we did Amazing Jump on our wedding evening with a whole bunch of other friends, and that was a really cool way to spend our wedding.
Yes.
Think about that for anniversary coming up.
Yeah, maybe we should.
You know what, we'll talk about that
We'll
later.
talk about that later. Point being, they opened up a ninja obstacle course for any of you guys who have ever seen, like, Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, Sasuke Ninja Warrior.
You know, that sort of thing. They've got, the little thing where you jump across, and then you have to do a lot of upper body strength stuff. And they said for $5 you can enter and try and win from $100 and up. And I'm like, hey, I could use $100.
And
I would like to try.
And I'm like, you can try going through it without spending the $5. We don't need to spend the $5. And look, there's some pretty buff dudes over there. I don't think you're gonna get $100.
Hey, I'm gonna do this, all right?
So he did it.
And I did it. And I made it, what, 5 minutes? I ran for about 5 minutes.
And you only made it halfway through.
And I only made it halfway through. Because admittedly, this thing's
when some of these dudes are doing it in like the whole thing in like 3 minutes.
Right, because they've had more training and they're not nearly as leading as much of a sentient lifestyle as I am, sitting in front of a computer looking up nerd stories all week. So yeah, I made it about halfway through, and I thought I was doing all right until every time you fall in, you're not just falling onto ground. They've got a pit of foam blocks underneath you.
I hate the foam blocks. You sink into those things. I always feel like I'm drowning, even though I know I'm not drowning, but I have these panic attacks like, I can't get out.
Yeah, admittedly, it's a little harder than water to pull yourself out of because the force you're pulling down is getting absorbed by the foam. So it's going to require more effort to get you out. So
which is funny because I eventually got to the bottom of one of those foam block pits, and really it's like, oh, well, the trampoline floor is just right there.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sink very far, but still, I don't want to get stuck in there.
Well, not like you could inherently, but I get where
could get stuck.
I get where that comes from. But no, I didn't make it very far. I didn't win the $100. And then I went to go jump and work off my frustration. That was, of course, after I threw up, but I would go back.
A third time.
A third time,
yeah,
yes.
Because we've totally
hopefully
been
not paying $100. I mean, not paying. No, why wouldn't I pay? No,
why would you pay?
I wouldn't pay the $5 to run that thing. I would try and train and get better first, and then I will try and win the $100.
Okay, that sounds more reasonable.
Or more, depending.
Okay.
Yes, but no. In order to reference the other thing, no, we are going to do our best tonight to not talk about Avengers Age of Ultron, specifically spoilers
Certainly
for the movie.
not during the course of the hour-long episode. If there is to be any sort of discussion, it will be post-show, and it will probably be dodging spoilers about as hard as we can manage.
Because we know not everybody's had a chance to watch the movie yet, we candidly say we have watched the movie, and we are both in full agreement that it is a movie.
Yeah, like, it is worth your money. It is worth going to see in theaters. Whether it is better or not as better
not as better
than the first Avengers movie,
that's left up to personal taste.
Yeah, my personal taste says not quite as good, but still a fun ride, and I think that's where I'm gonna leave it for the show right now.
Yes. But that having been said, you guys aren't here necessarily for that, although some of you wanted to be. But we do have other stories to talk about tonight, so let's go ahead and get right to that.
So, what's our first one? Universal Studios. Which theme parks was it specifically saying? You know what? We'll figure that out later. So, Universal Studios is going to have Nintendo-related attractions at it.
Yes.
And that's going to be a thing in the future, and we're going to talk about how much of a thing that is, and at what point in the future.
Yes. We're going to definitely talk about that. The second story we're going to talk about is there's a certain spot in Japan, the Hakone area of Japan, which
not too terribly far from Tokyo.
Not too terribly far from Tokyo. They've had a lot of different notable series like Initial D, Evangelion, most famously, use that area as kind of a primer for drawing out their own backgrounds for these series.
And it's a huge tourist area.
Oh yeah, because people love these series. They want to go visit the actual place.
No, more so than just being a pilgrimage site. It's huge tourist trap.
Well, either way, point being, there's not very many tourists nowadays because there's a bit of a problem with volcanic activity. So we're going to talk a bit about that, how that's messing with the tourist inflow there.
And then finally, you guys catch all of that information about Suicide Squad that came out this week?
Well, we sure did.
There's a lot of pictures. And we're going to show a couple of those pictures and then discuss said pictures and be like, what's up with that?
Because some of you guys were wondering, why didn't we talk about the Joker last week? We knew they were getting ready to post a full cast thing, so we're lumping it all together tonight. Alright, so you're going to get all of that tonight. Alright.
But otherwise, we got some follow-ups to talk about.
Yeah, we got a lot of follow-ups to talk about. So, I'm going to let you decide where we start off with. We can either do the giant chunk of Star Wars news or the giant chunk of Marvel news.
They're both Disney, so just pick one.
Okay, fine.
The whole thing is Disney news.
Not all of it. Not all of it.
Okay, let's go Star Wars followed by Marvel, and then.
Okay, so we'll segue our way out of it.
All right.
So Star Wars, a lot of Star Wars news. We got a lot of new pictures in from Vanity Fair. Other pictures being released online. New information coming out about The Force Awakens. We can confirm now from all of these pictures being released that Captain Phasma, who is the chromed out stormtrooper with a cape you see there, is in fact a woman, played by the actress who plays Brienne of Tarth on Game of Thrones.
I know that's gonna throw some of the 501st for a loop, because the 501st saw that suit and everyone was like,
Dibs! I'm totally getting it! And then you realize it's Brienne of Tarth and it's like, you can have it.
You know what? If those dudes want to wear her costume, whatever, let them. It's a cool costume. I don't even care. Anybody can wear that. It's pretty cool.
The other thing we can confirm from those pictures that were released is that Adam Driver is, in fact, the villain of the series, Kylo Ren. We've seen a picture of him without the mask on, so now we know who he was playing. We've also got a start date for the release of merchandise for the movie. That will be the first week of September, specifically on the 4th. Not May the 4th, because that was the thing this week. Yeah. But you guys can probably expect to be looking at your local Targets, Walmarts, for those things to be hitting stores on the 4th. But before then, you'll probably see items that fell off the back of a truck on eBay for several times more what they're worth.
Oh, I'm sure. As it is, I was seeing in the Star Wars Celebration group that I was part of on Facebook, man, they are selling at super high costs the things that you could only get at Celebration.
Oh, yes.
Specifically, it was going shockingly so. They were trading. You remember what I was saying about the Disney pin traders?
Yes, you were telling me a lot about that.
Oh my god, Disney pin traders are the worst. They're the scariest people, and now Star Wars is involved with it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
pins that you could only get at Star Wars Celebration are making the circles through those scary moms with the Disney pin trading hobbies. It's so scary, I'm telling you.
It's like dealing with Jawas.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Because, you know, they're about as loud and high-pitched.
Okay,
point being, moving on to other news. In other Star Wars news, we can confirm that the next iteration of Disney Infinity 3.0 will, in fact, have Star Wars characters in them.
And I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. And then I saw the Han Solo, and I was like, he looks amazing! I really, really want that Han Solo.
Yeah, because I know some people that were like, you know what, Disney Infinity, I tried it looks stupid. I'm not going to do it. Then they saw the advertisement, hey, this upcoming update, it's going to be Star Wars. And then they're just like, how much? Because that's the thing with some of these figures, it's like they know they've got their audience.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a captive audience here, and you're going to be able to play as all your favorite characters from the original trilogy, from the prequel trilogy, and more than likely people from The Force Awakens.
Eventually, yeah.
So that'll be coming out later on this year. I feel sorry for everyone's wallets who is currently playing Disney Infinity. We have a copy, but we would have to upgrade.
We never bought additional figures either. We only had the very first pack with the initial character sets. So.
Right. But I guess that fully solidifies that Princess Leia is now a Disney princess.
I mean, I think people were discussing that the second that Lucasfilm
I know,
Disney.
but it's like
whatever.
That just makes it more solid. Okay, fine. Moving on to other news. Okay, we'll go ahead and go to the Marvel news. So, in news that's not Avengers Age of Ultron related, we can go ahead and talk about Civil War, which is the movie that they're going to have coming out after Ant-Man. Well, specifically tying in, they've confirmed that Paul Rudd will be reprising his role as Scott Lang, Ant-Man, in Civil War.
So he doesn't die in Ant-Man, guys.
Yeah, like no duh, he wasn't going to die. He's just barely starting out.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen the movie yet, but now we know he doesn't die. Just so you guys are aware.
Yeah, just so you guys are aware.
Just so you know.
But we can confirm a lot of returning actors. Without giving away spoilers, everyone you see at the end of Age of Ultron has signed on to come back. Now, whether or not you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, you can just look this up for yourself, which would more or less tell you who survives in the movie, because all you have to do is look at the cast list.
Yeah, okay, so that explains everything. We're not going to tell you that list in case you want to see.
What we will say, though, is some of the other returning names is that Emily Van Camp is returning as Agent 13 from the Civil War movie, to the Civil War movie from Winter Soldier. William Hurt is actually coming back to play General Ross from the last time he played him in Incredible Hulk. So that's nice that they still remember that he's there in the universe. And then in a surprising move, Martin Freeman, who people, of course, know from the British version of The Office, of course, Sherlock, has been cast in
as the Hobbit.
And as the Hobbit, has been cast in an unspecified role. Interestingly enough, they have not confirmed who's playing Spider-Man yet, so you know what that means.
He's not Spider-Man.
No, he's not Spider-Man. There's no
way on earth he's Spider-Man. He's too old to be Spider-Man.
He's too old to be Spider-Man. He's too old.
He's too old by several decades. To be Spider-Man.
But even then, at this point, your guess is as good as mine as to who he's playing. I just thought about it for a split second earlier when I thought about, could he be Spider-Man? And since he had all that Office background, like, he could say his one-liners and then just look directly at the camera.
And just be real stonewalled?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a really lame Spider-Man.
I
would laugh, I would laugh because that's not Spider-Man.
Right. And at this point, we're still waiting for that. My guess is by the end of the month, because they started filming last week, so they're going to need him very soon in the not-too-distant future. So we'll probably get an update about that very, very soon. Moving on to other news, in Independence Day 4's sequel news, Celia Ward has been cast in the role of the current...
Independence Day 4?
Well, Independence Day 2, because I write it out in the notes, ID4, like the original tag that it was used.
Yeah, okay, whatever. It's a misleading tag.
I know, but point being,
Because Independence
there's
Day
a new
is-
president. It kind of makes sense,
Well,
20
no
years.
duh.
No duh, 20 years removed. Even though Bill Pullman is also in the movie, but he's probably just a guy.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I said last week.
Oh, I didn't remember. I like Bill Pullman, though.
Do you like Bill Pullman or do you like Bill Paxton?
No, I like Bill Pullman.
Okay, making sure you know the difference.
Yeah, I know the difference. I know exactly what I said. You like Bill Paxton. Because you like Twister.
Well, no, I actually like Bill Paxton and Twister and all the 80s stuff he shows up in.
I like Bill Pullman because I like Spaceballs.
That's fair. That's fair. I like Spaceballs.
Okay, thank you. We can move on.
We can move on. In other news, we've got a confirmed voice cast for the new game Batman Arkham Knight. Of course, Kevin Conroy is coming back to reprise his role as Batman.
Yes.
I mean, who else?
Well, they've gotten other Batmans in recent animated movies. I mean, why not start to use another guy in the games?
Because you go with your best man, and your best Batman is Kevin Conroy.
Oh, I mean, like, from a fan's perspective, absolutely. But from, like, a business perspective, they're like, yeah, this guy's been getting a lot of work. Kevin Conroy, bye! And move in this much cheaper guy.
Well, see, they tried to do...
I don't know how much they actually
Well, see,
cost
they
in
tried to
comparison
do
one
that with Arkham Origins, and, well, it wasn't exactly the best received game.
Uh-huh.
But aside from him in the voice cast, we've got, just announced today, Matt Mercer, who people would know most recently from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure coming up, and Levi from Attack on Titan is cast as Tim Drake, Robin...
Also, wasn't he Iron Man?
He was also Iron Man, yes, he was.
For, like, a second?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got Ashley Greene from the Twilight Saga as Barbara Gordon, Oracle, and, computer, I hate you so much right now. I just want to look at the names. Thank you. We've got Troy Baker, not playing the Joker this time, but he's playing Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. Okay. Nolan North as Penguin. And... If I could just... Thank you. And John Noble from Sleepy Hollow, Fringe as Scarecrow.
I don't know that guy at all.
You remember that one episode of Sleepy Hollow we saw where they were trying to have, like, the Devil's Baby on the show, and there's that old guy saying he wanted to help bring in the Devil's Baby?
Yeah, it was pretty weird, alright.
Yeah, that's the guy who's playing Scarecrow.
The guy having the Devil's Baby?
The guy who was trying to help have the Devil's Baby.
Okay. I guess
He's good at the creepy voices.
Okay,
He's good at the creepy
he can
voices.
Have it, whatever.
He likes the idea of it. So, definitely that is going to be a game that's very much a reason why we got PS4, so I'll probably be pre-ordering that very soon. Moving on to other news, in other DC news, CW actually has confirmed a title for their spin-off series, which they're calling DC Legends of Tomorrow.
That sounds so boring and doesn't tell me anything.
Well, they went ahead and put out a synopsis. Rip Hunter, who's the character Arthur Darvill is playing, has come back in time from the future to try and avoid a catastrophe, and in order to do so, he has to assemble a team of both heroes and villains to stop this upcoming apocalypse.
Okay, I'm still bored. Like, I'm still not hooked yet.
Well, see, that's the thing. You don't even watch the shows to begin with.
No! I don't! Like, what are you expecting from me?
I don't know.
I game, I don't comic.
Okay, well, I comic show, and this looks like it's got a lot of promise.
If you say so, like,
strong...
that premise sounds boring to me.
Well, if done right, based off how they've been doing, admittedly, with this week's Flash and Arrow leading up to their respective series season finales, they've been doing quite well in retaining audience retention. They've managed to really up the storytelling, up the stakes as far as what each of them is facing. So if they bring that same kind of storytelling, those same well done character stories, and they've got a decent enough cast, I'm fairly certain this is going to be another hit for them. More than just, it's just another superhero show, so people are going to watch. Okay, so moving on to other news. In actual, in Konami news, because, more good news coming out of them.
Are we almost at the end of this?
Almost, yes. What we've had happen is that eBay sellers who are trying to get rid of make a profit off their PS4s that have a copy of PT still on there are being taken down.
From eBay.
From eBay.
eBay themselves are removing PS4 selling PT.
Because, mind you, Konami has taken every last trace of it off the PlayStation Network store. Like, it's gone.
Right.
If you had it, hold on to it. Do not let go. Because that is all we're getting right now.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, you know,
so
there's business moves and there's dick moves.
Yeah.
This is pretty dick move.
Sure
because it's
is.
like we know we're not getting the game. Y'all know you're not getting the game. We just want to keep what we've got. And
some people want to make money off what they got.
Yeah, and it's a free market. They're allowed, but you're not allowing.
Not unless they're trying to protect their IP and they plan on actually doing something with PT, but we know they're not going to do Silent Hills. So,
like, what's even the point? Why would you protect something that you killed?
Perhaps to protect its other inner content, you know? Perhaps they plan on doing something with the content, but not making it Silent Hills. Probably an inferior product, but, you know, still something.
As we've spoken about numerous times over the last couple of weeks, anything that they come out with after the fact would be, in fact, an inferior product, because, yeah, this thing was looking to be amazing, and we don't get any of it, and now you won't even let us keep what you gave us.
Yeah.
Like, man, what's wrong with you people?
Alright, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, so we can go ahead and move on to our first story of the evening.
Which was what again? No, really, what was it?
The Universal Studios.
Okay, I hope I have the right... Nope, that wasn't the right order.
No, that was it.
That was it.
Okay!
Yeah, alright, woo! Okay. So Universal Studios, right?
Right. Now, you guys remember we've talked several times about other collaborations between theme parks and different sort of intellectual properties being like, you know what, Japan, for example.
Japan frequently has that happen.
You know, we're going to have you guys do this One Piece promotion there at the park. Or we've talked about Resident Evil out there in Universal Studios Orlando, both here and Japan. You know, they've got their thing. Well, now, just announced today, Nintendo's throwing their hats in the ring, saying, you know what? We want a piece of that sweet, sweet theme park action because, you know, Nintendo's really hurting for money. No, they're not. They actually reported today that they've been boosting sales. So,
oh, of course.
You know, they've been reporting their first profit since 2011 this year. So on the cusp of that, it's like, well, we're doing well profit-wise. We're gonna do theme park rides.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out, is this just Universal Studios Japan as it frequently is? Or is this Universal Studios Parks and Resorts all over? Now, granted, Nintendo is a big company everywhere right now,
yes.
Not just Japan. It kind of made sense for One Piece to just remain kind of Japan-centric. Granted, we have One Piece imported over here, both in manga and anime format, but it's just not the same thing as its incredibly booming popularity in Japan.
Now, the thing about it is, every article I've checked on this doesn't say that it's registered to one country or another. So I take that as a good sign to say we might actually get a chance to get this over here.
Yeah, it's not specifying, it's also not specifying what the heck they're doing. They're just saying that they've got some kind of partnership coming down the line, and it will be in the future. Like, they're not even telling us when this is going to be, just that attractions will in fact be there. But, I mean, what could they do, right? So if
that actually seems like a no-brainer, because, you know, we talked before about how we had those ideas for the Evangelion ride before they did it over at Universal Studios Japan. Like, we almost planned the whole thing out. We talked about what an anime theme park would look like in function. When it comes to Nintendo properties, some of the rides and attractions just kind of make themselves. Like, if you don't have a go-kart track...
Yeah, that seems like that
like,
would be
that's
the
kind of
thing.
no duh. Like, you're shooting yourself in the foot not doing that.
I'm sure there would be Nintendo hotspots for using your 3DS. Surely there would be.
Well, that's a given, Like, here's the thing I'm thinking about.
You only get special, I don't know, Street Pass related things if you take it to Universal Studios.
But I'm thinking about, one thing, that go-karts for Mario Kart, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
You have a freaking jungle gym based off Donkey Kong, that's easy.
That would be cool.
Now, what I was trying to figure out earlier when I heard about this is how would they do, like, what is the best way, I should say, to do a Zelda attraction? Because it's not like they wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oddly enough today, when I was at work, because, we have stupid 9-to-5 jobs, or longer, I had no less than 4 people come through my section of the store in Zelda shirts. Like, I thought it was some unofficial Zelda holiday today. From various games. So it's like, from all the various games, what would be the best thing to do for Zelda?
I don't know. Are you suggesting something? Or
No, I'm asking. Because you could have... What could you have?
I don't know. A carousel where all of the animals are Epona.
That's easy. That's really easy to do.
But Universal wouldn't do a carousel.
Well, I'm thinking if they do it in Japan, what Japan likes to do is if they don't do a ride, they'll definitely do snacks. Themed snacks.
Stage show actually is not a bad idea.
A stage show would be so sweet, and
Stage show would be boss.
It would be boss. With Nintendo money, Universal Studios doesn't do a bad show there. They really don't.
No, they don't.
Now, here's the thing I'm thinking about for a second, because I'll come back to that. We went, this past year, almost a year ago at this point. There's not too much room to grow out there in Universal Studios. So if they were going to, say, section off a spot to do this, where do you think they'd put it?
That's a good question. They would probably convert an old thing into new stuff, unfortunately.
No sound? I kind of have to agree with Movie Brout.
Or unless it's just one person who's experiencing no sound. Do me a favor. Unmute.
Alright.
Unmute over on your side. Don't video, you... Okay, you have to reload. Never mind.
Yeah, mine's crashing, so I can't tell.
Okay, only one person was having the problem. Screw it. Never mind.
Okay, it's fine.
Back to business.
Point being, like Movie Brat's saying, what if they just got rid of Seuss Land? Like, who's really using it?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really liked was, like, the little people mover thing.
Yeah, but even then, that's, like, passé by this point, you know?
But it's just...
They could use some new blood.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like, they've got that little... I forget what you call it, but it's not quite a carousel, but it kind of like the Dumbo ride at Disney. What if it was like Yoshi or something? You were riding on little Yoshis.
Yeah, maybe. Multicolored Yoshis.
Yeah.
Some of the Yoshis can fly.
Exactly.
Sometimes when they eat things, you hatch different Yoshis. Yeah.
You could have like a Build-A-Bear Yoshi thing there.
That would be cute. That'd be super expensive, I bet, but it would be cute.
But it would make money. They would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, they do that mess at Disney right now. Why
That's
wouldn't
a good point here. They would probably untheme the Marvel stuff.
Oh, yeah.
At Islands of Adventure, yeah.
I didn't even think about...
Considering you think about it, Disney's probably furious that they've still got Marvel stuff over there.
Well, yeah, because it's grandfathered in. It's a part of that park from its opening.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they kind of want that stuff back because they want to do more stuff in their parks with Marvel since it's under their umbrella now. But, yeah,
those rides are so good.
I love...
The Spider-Man ride is
Spider-Man
so
ride.
good.
So boss. I am so glad.
You're about to hit me in the face.
I'm sorry. I'm just that... I just get that pumped when I think about that Spider-Man ride, especially with all the upgrades they made to it. It looks amazing.
Like, it used to give me a headache. I used to hate it, but the upgrades no longer give me a headache, and it's pretty good now.
Well, like, this is stupid, but you know how, like, at Disney parks you can, they have actually, like, a salon there, like, oh, we'll dress you up like a princess, and we'll do your hair like a princess. Like, what if they had a salon for the Nintendo spot, but it was like Bayonetta?
I have my doubts that they would do that.
I know, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I highly doubt that.
Now, here's the thing I'm hoping for, because they've done it in Japan, they're kind of sort of doing it over here, going from Six Flags to Six Flags, is Monster Hunter. I want to see some friggin' Monster Hunter stuff over here.
That would be pretty amazing.
Because that would be... If they did some sort of
But the thing is, that's technically Capcom, not... Now, granted... You know what? It's not only on Nintendo products, though. There's older Monster Hunter stuff on PSP you know?
Well, yeah, but, like, who friggin' still plays their PSP? Like, they're not making new games for the PSP. That's not even hardly a worry, I don't think.
Japan, they still occasionally release games for the PSP. Granted, I don't think Monster Hunter's gonna go back to PSP, but I'm just saying it's not a Nintendo-only franchise. It's a Capcom franchise.
But what I'm saying is, just like we speculated with the Evangelion ride, the 4D ride, if they could do a Monster Hunter 4D ride,
yes,
or even something
be amazing. I'm just doubting it very strongly.
I think somebody would come up with the idea, at least. I can't be the only one to make that jump in logic. Now, okay, bringing up Pokemon, that's a little harder because...
How is that any hard? And Pokemon is blatantly Nintendo.
Yeah, but Pokemon, they could have their own park, basically.
Yeah, but there's no way they're not going to have at least a themed Pikachu character walking around.
Oh, well, yeah, that's easy enough to have themed characters walking around. You'll have Peach and Mario and Toad.
And I'm telling you, Pikachu.
And there'll be no line to take your picture with Toad.
I'll take my picture with Toad. I love Toad.
Well,
I might be the only
I think
person
you're the only
who legitimately
person
loves Toad.
Okay, but I'm saying if you've got a choice here, you've only got 5 minutes left in the part, and you got a choice. You can either go to Toad or wait in line for Waluigi. I know you. You will wait in line for Waluigi.
Well, it depends. What does the Waluigi ride do?
No, just for the in-suit character.
Oh, to wait in line for an in-suit... You're right, it would be Waluigi.
See? I know you. Now, the other thing I'm thinking about, because I'm thinking, towards the future, they've got other games coming out, not just older titles.
Nintendo always has new games coming out.
Splatoon, right? What if they had, like, a paintball-type thing there with Splatoon?
Could be cool. I don't
like, you'd have to sign a waiver for it, but I think
I don't see them doing paintball. I would sooner see them with water pistols.
Okay, water pistols, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be cheap enough to do. People would recognize it from the game, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it's an easy turnover there. And especially if they're doing this sort of thing from a point of, oh, yeah, we're in the money now, they'll feel cocky enough to try new ideas.
Probably.
But at the same time, there's some of those that'll be just easy enough to do. Now, you bring up the Zelda stage show. You think it'd be pretty easy for them to do a Mario stage show, right?
Oh, more than likely, yeah. Imagine, like, traveling through pipes, and, like, your suit actor goes into one pipe and he comes out another pipe.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, see? Doable. Very, very doable.
Very doable. So, like, this isn't like some other ideas that have been pitched before. Like, are they going to do it? Will they do it? We'll see. No, like, this is too much of an easy moneymaker for them not to see this through for even, I would say, as soon as next year, have them come up with something and then put it out there, and then everybody would flock out to Florida like they don't already for,
or California,
not like they don't already for vacation, and go on these rides and attractions. Yeah, a pipe playground. Yeah, that would be a good idea. Forget Donkey Kong.
Oh, don't forget Donkey Kong. He's important.
Okay, fine.
He is historically important.
Okay, all right.
In fact, that's the first time Mario ever existed.
Okay, fine. They can both have a jungle gym.
Okay,
is that fair?
So long as I get to throw a barrel at a child.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah, little foam barrels at children.
Yeah. Barrel throwing attraction where your target specifically is somebody else's child.
Yeah.
Or their strollers.
Yeah.
Throwing barrels at strollers.
The Donkey Kong experience.
You
pay a little extra, and you're throwing these down at little kids from above, and you're just beating on your chest while it happens. And then you give the kid a little foam hammer that they can't lift. We sound horrible.
They can't lift it. It's more like Mjolnir to these kids. They can't friggin' lift it.
And you'll just be there like, too bad.
You go back to their moms crying.
Okay.
I think that's as much as we can do.
Yes, but definitely that's something to look forward to. Themed drinks would be good.
Oh, that'll happen for sure.
That'll definitely happen.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, moving on to the next story.
So the image I'm using right now is...
There's a reason for it.
Ava Unit 1 from Neon Genesis Evangelion. He is standing here in a very famous location in Hakone. And Hakone is not too terribly far, kind of southwest from Tokyo. Alright, in fact, I stopped at Hakone once. I mean, I didn't go very far, but it was kind of along my my Shinkansen, the bullet train trip between Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto. And it's once you get out there, it is like mountains, and it's trees, and very little people, but every so often, kind of like you're seeing in this image here, you're gonna see this tori, this gate, for a Shinto shrine. Just out of nowhere, like, I don't know if people live out there, but they sure as heck built a shrine out there, and people go, it was already a very, very gorgeous, touristy kind of place. Hakone is famous for all the people who go there to feed like the deer up on Mount Hakone.
Yeah, you're saying they're very docile and very easy to
approach. But if you don't feed the deer kind of get pissed off at you. Like they could bite you because they're expecting you, like, you're a person. People here are required to feed me. You feed me now. They're really pushy about it. Kind of cute, but then they get pushy. Famous for that gate that kind of sits out in the middle of the water. Everybody takes photographs of that. So so it's famous on its own merits first. But then it also has been a place where, for example, Evangelion has used it as a
model for Tokyo 3. Mm-hmm. The underground city there in that series, as well as Initial D, driving through those particular hilly areas. People, otaku specifically, go out there and want to take pictures there, and then act like they're drifting through the mountains however they want to do it.
I've seen people do it, and then they hit the guardrails, and they think they're awesome, and then they hit those guardrails, and then they're like, I am not Takumi Fujiwara,
but I wish.
I am not driving the 8.6.
I'm not driving the 8.6.
But I tried.
But we wish.
So there's a problem going on right now, and it's that we've recently seen a fairly significant amount of tremors in Japan in general. Well, apparently Hakone also is having some slight volcanic activity.
As well as tremors being experienced in that area. 2 quakes were measured at 2.0 and 2.4 on the Richter scale. Just this week. But they've had a lot of small tremors for the most part, but the thing about it is enough tremors happen and people start to get concerned that maybe there might be some sort of volcanic activity or impending eruption.
Photographs from the air are in fact showing that the mountain is starting to spew some stuff.
Actually, why don't you go ahead and link everybody so they can see that?
And yeah, I'm going to link you guys to this article on Wired. There's this fantastic, it's really kind of a painfully beautiful photograph. I say painfully because this is literally right next to an establishment where people typically would go and they would park, and then they could walk around kind of the lip of the volcano, which hadn't been active in, I can't remember how long. I'll have to look that up in just a moment. So here's your link here. I know you're getting it before I say it, but so it's got some activity, and you can see so far it's not terribly dangerous. It's just kind of smoking, but it's been noted that they've raised the alert level from 1 to 2, which apparently is a bad thing. I haven't lived in volcanoes. I've never lived in a volcano. I haven't lived in earthquake areas for very long in my life, and so I don't know just how bad the earthquake warning levels get. But 1 to 2 sounds bad. It's definitely an increase, and they had people evacuate.
For 300 meters close to the area around the volcano where they have a little hot springs area. Hot springs, of course, being naturally occurring heated waters where people go and like to basically have spa days there, and it's very relaxing.
And you can imagine why it's heated, and it's because it's near actual volcanic activity.
Yeah, it's volcanic heat from the earth. Making for these natural hot tubs, basically. But unfortunately,
these unfortunately have now, as of yesterday morning in Japan, been evacuated, and roads leading into the area are now closed. That is kind of scary. So.
Well, yeah, because it'd be one thing if you were playing the safe, playing it by the book. You want to make sure nobody's gonna get hurt by any means. But when you really think about it in the long run, I think, oddly enough, the easiest example I can use is the movie Dante's Peak, where that town in that movie, that fictional town, runs a lot off tourism, just like a town like this. You want people to show up, take pictures, stay at your hot springs for a while, have a good time, spend some money.
Yeah, some people, I imagine, in this area, are running kind of little mom and pop inns. That happens a lot in rural Japan. Lots of, like, just old couples who, like, they're not doing anything else. That's probably their entire living.
Yeah.
More than likely. That happens a lot. So I'm concerned that some people's lifestyles are ruined just because they have to evacuate. That happened, actually... when I was growing up, I lived in an area just north of San Antonio called Canyon Lake, and there were a couple of times, 10, 15 or more years ago, where we had what were called 100-year floods. And Canyon Lake, of course, it's a lake, and there's a river that comes out of that lake, the Guadalupe River, and there was massive flooding. Water came over the spillway, and the rivers went all the way up and over the bridges, and Canyon Lake is a hugely, touristy, people take their boats out on the lake.
They go tubing down the river.
Yeah, specifically the part of not town, because I didn't actually live in a town, I lived outside of anything with a name. That area made its entire living on having tube rental joints.
Right.
So you could rent these inner tubes, you park your car, and you walk down to the river, and then you take the small U-turn that the river takes, and then you get back out, and you're like, hey, it's a good time.
Yeah, we're going out there, catch some sun, catch some rays, it's gonna be fun.
Well, not only could you not take the river, super dangerous, like, why would you even do that? But two, all those tube joints were gone. They were
like
just
washed away.
Super, super high waters that just knocked out like half the town. So and that's literally all that Canyon Lake's income feeds off of, is that kind of tourism,
right.
So I completely understand where some of these people might be coming from, because there's nothing else out there except for nature and beauty, and to be living off of it like that, that's all they're making that living off of.
Right, exactly. And you think about it, were there to be an actual eruption, that would suck not just for that area, it would suck for a good chunk of Japan. Mm-hmm. You think about some of these other eruptions we're seeing, like down in Mexico, like the gas and the rock that spews out clouds up places for even further away.
Oh, yeah.
And it will disrupt more than just tourism. It will disrupt roads, it will disrupt commerce, it will really be, putting it lightly, a bad time for everybody, and dang it, hasn't enough happened to Japan already?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just so hard when you do live on such a volcanic island.
Right.
Tons of little volcanoes all over the place. And tons of little they're right on that fault line,
Yes.
So it's hard. It's hard for them. So we thought this was significant because this is a real life location that you would have probably seen show up in really a number of some of your favorite shows or other pieces of media out of Japan.
Now, the thing to take into account too is I don't know that we said this on air. We're planning a trip out to Japan.
We're probably not going to go down to Hakone, however.
But I bet you anything, were something to erupt in the Hakone area, we'd notice it in Tokyo.
Oh, yeah, easily. It would be seen very, very easily. In fact, Kanagawa, Kanagawa is the area that I actually lived in Japan for a brief amount of time while I was studying. And, it was the way far opposite end of the Kanagawa region, but that's how close to Tokyo it is, because I would just commute into Tokyo. It's pretty close, all things considered. It might take you an hour.
Right.
But it's close.
Right. So basically, all things considered, we're hoping that the volcanic seismic activity kind of settles down. Everybody can go back to their normal onsen, hot springs driven lives, and hopefully when we go out there, we don't experience any sort of ash clouds that are threatening people's livelihoods or vacations.
Yeah, like, I'm not even hardly concerned about the vacation. Just make sure these people are safe.
In general.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they've got their own safety plans, and they've had their own safety plans forever and ever and ever, because they know where they live. So I'm sure everyone will be handled with the best of care should something happen.
Yes.
All right. So
not him.
Not him.
It's the other guy.
It's the other. So
These guys.
Well, that's what these guys are supposed to look like.
Supposed to look like in the face. Okay, so like we said at the top of the show, the last part of tonight's show is going to be talking about the upcoming Warner Brothers Suicide Squad movie. And what we have here is a picture, care of the internet, with everybody having their proper face, headgear, what have you.
Yeah, but they're not wearing that.
Yeah,
so
they're not wearing that. They're wearing this stuff. Okay, so where to start? What?
See, I think you have more of an emotional tie to Suicide Squad than I do. The only emotional tie I have here is to Harley Quinn.
Well,
who looks nothing like a Harlequin? That's my problem. Like, her namesake means, like, she's supposed to look like a Harlequin. As in, like, a little French clown thingy.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and go down the list to begin with. From left to right, what we've got here are different characters. We've got Adam Beach as Slipknot. We have Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang. As the Enchantress, we have Cara Delevingne. I can never pronounce those GN names. It's weird. Below her, we have Katana. Not the same Katana that we have on Arrow. She's being played by... I just had to say... Karen Fukuhara. Then, of course, there we have Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Of course, Will Smith as Deadshot. We have Adwale Akinue Ajbaye as Killer Croc. I got it right this time.
All right.
And Jay Hernandez as El Diablo. Now, let's be fair. Unless you've been watching a lot of DC animated stuff or are into comic books, you don't know who half these people are.
Exactly. That's partially my problem. The only bit of that I saw was that animated movie we watched together.
Right. Which, of course, I believe fully that plus the inclusion of the Suicide Squad on Arrow was testing the waters to see whether or not they could do this movie. And, well, for starters, looking at everybody's costumes, this is a comic book movie, so visuals, I think, count for a lot. Muted colors in Superman means something. It takes something away from the direction you're taking the character. So you look at these costumes, if you really have to break it down, Katana more or less looks like Katana. Killer Croc's wearing a bit too much clothing. Like, I'm used to seeing him shirtless.
I'm sure he will get shirtless. He will totally get shirtless. Like, don't even worry about him. He's, like, the least of my concerns out of everybody.
And out of everyone else's costume, really, Will Smith's costume as Deadshot is actually probably the closest to the comic book.
Well, then don't complain.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, in comparison to everybody else, where they seem to have taken a lot of liberties with the way the characters look. You take Captain Boomerang, for example. Yeah, nobody's going to dare put the little Krispy Kreme hat on him.
Yeah, okay, I guess. I don't know what he's supposed to look like, if I'm to be honest with you.
Point being, he's got a little hat. A little Navy, Air Force hat that he wears. He's not wearing that. I don't even see him holding a dang boomerang. Like,
he'll have it? Calm down.
Okay, I'm just saying.
He's not gonna have the namesake of having a boomerang and not carry around a boomerang at some time in the movie. Like, that's gonna happen. Like, don't even worry about it.
Where'd you get all that helium?
From a boomerang.
Okay, but point being, with a lot of these characters, like, I can say that about Katana, I can say that about Deadshot, and Killer Croc. Everybody's kind of be like, they're who now?
Kind of be
what?
Like?
They're just going to be like, who are they?
Yeah.
Do I care about what they look like? I don't know. Like, kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
So they can get away with that. But the biggest person out of this whole cast photo is, of course, Harley Quinn, because at this point, she's very synonymous with just the Batman universe, the DC universe by this point.
Like, good job, animated series, for making that happen.
Well, good job, Bruce Timm, for bringing her out into the forefront. And yes, Bruce Timm has said, you know what, I'd like to see what they do with this Harley Quinn. Of course, he can say that, of course, being the guy who helped create Harley Quinn. So he's allowed to say that, of course. Now, as a fan of just the stories that she's been involved in and different sort of characterizations she's had, really over the course of her career from the 90s to now, I will outright say I'm not a fan of the look.
I suppose I just come from this standpoint where, like, I thought she was a very fun character in the animated series, and as time has gone on, in comic universes, in game universes, and now in television show iterations, she's just become increasingly sexualized, and that's just not a direction, like, it's okay for characters to do that if they were intended to do that. I just kind of hoped for different from Harley Quinn.
Well, because the thing about that is, while, yes, that has been something that's happened to her over the course of years, there have also been, to the other hand, a lot of very deep, interesting stories about her, about how she deals with the Joker, how she deals with basically being in an abusive relationship, how you covered, no, she's not just some bimbo, she's got a doctorate, she was a doctor
she's
first.
an incredibly intelligent person, and that's why she was even working at Arkham Asylum in the first place.
You know, and she can actually, in some cases, be a very deep and caring person. There was a story where she was fighting Black Canary, realized Black Canary was pregnant, immediately stopped the fight, and then eventually started caring for Black Canary and actually brought her, like, baby gifts and stuff like that. Like, that's a far cry from just the little, hey there, Mr. J, you know, just sidekick character. That's growth. And from years of growth to go back to, like you say, the very simple sexualized, oh, here she is in booty shorts, like... Yeah, it's kind of the same way I responded when I first saw how she was going to look in Arkham Asylum, where they gave her that really, like, bad
And now I'm
nurse.
finding myself liking it better than I like this. Granted, I don't really like either one of them, but...
Well, you think about it, though, as far as her depiction in those games go, yeah, she's wearing that sexy nurse outfit version of her costume in Arkham Asylum, but then when you get to Arkham City, they've more or less gone back to more of a traditional look. You know, they put pants on her. They gave her more of the traditional red and black color scheme that she has.
Yeah.
And she looked more like herself. Now, admittedly, at least in the face area of you guys looking at the costume, yeah, she's still got that same sort of Arkham City look. You know, just face makeup.
She's two-toned, which is kind of correct.
At least as far as Arkham City is concerned for her head. But then you take the rest of her costume into account, and... like, a lot of people seem to have a problem with the fact that she's wearing a little windbreaker Letterman jacket that says property of Joker on the back, which...
Yeah, especially if you consider the direction they went with in the animated feature with Suicide Squad, where she's actually really upset and kind of doesn't want to go back to the Joker because he was abusive to her, because he didn't actually care about her, he was just using her, really, all things considered.
Which in most stories he is. You know, so considering the nature of their relationship, I'm wondering why she would still be wearing that so blatantly. And that, of course, leads into talking about Jared Leto's photo that, of course, everybody's seen by now of the Joker. Now, there have been things said one way or the other of whether or not the tattoos that are apparent on his person are actually part of the costume. Some people say, oh, they're not. They were just meant for promotional photos. But some people are saying, no, they're not. That's pretty much him. That's what you're going to get in this movie.
You can see some tats on her back.
They're on her legs.
Over in this direction.
Over in this direction, right. But point being, you know, you look at it, and yeah, everybody's allowed, in different generations, their interpretation of the Joker. Like, I saw this infographic where you look at it. Nicholson's Joker was a gangster.
Yeah.
Ledger's Joker was an anarchist. This Joker looks like he's going to be a psychopath.
There was that one time that the Joker had dreads and could hang from poles with his toes.
Yeah, but they kind of fixed that a little over the course of the series.
I was kind of okay with that, actually.
Yeah, when they fixed it, you mean?
When they fixed it.
Yeah, when they fixed it and gave him more of his traditional costume. But, see, there's room for experimentation, and then there's trying to reinvent the wheel when the wheel's working just fine. You know what I'm saying? Now, the thing about it is, I don't inherently hate the way Jared Leto looks as the Joker. I actually think he looks alright. It's the dang tattoos that seem to be spelling out so much of who he is inherently.
I think it would be okay if he had tattoos if, kind of like you said, they didn't just shout, "This is what my personality is!" And, like, that's something you're meant to learn through visual media, and not have it scream at you with words written on your body.
Because, you know, essentially going back to the argument I always use for Gotham, subtlety You know, nuance. You know, don't spell out for me who this character is. Show me who this character is.
Right.
Don't be screaming at me the same way, oh man, Nigma, you're always making riddles. Like, Joker with damaged written on his forehead. I don't need him to tell me by just me looking at him is damaged. I want to look at him and tell by the look in his eyes, by the smile he's got.
Any
by
other
his,
behavior,
Any other behavior, not stuff written out over his body. You know, and I get, you know, people are saying, oh, well, that was meant to coincide with the anniversary of the Joker as a character. Yeah, that would have been cool. That's an explanation that I could take, but at the same time, I could only take it as that. Because as such, you know, the Batman mythos has the Joker tied into it so hard that the way he's evolved over the years, you know, he started out killing people, then he got weak in the 60s, then through the 70s and 80s he got, you know, darker and more personal. So yeah, he's messed up, but I think of it just, this was the thing I asked you. Over the years of all the stuff that's happened to him, not counting the stuff with the doll maker, does the Joker strike you as somebody who would sit still long enough for someone to give him that many tattoos?
Maybe in his sleep.
Does the Joker sleep?
If you knock him out.
Yeah, maybe, but like I think back to, you know, Mask of the Phantasm, you know, like that's still the key depiction of the Joker in my head. You know, when he has that line, you know, don't touch me, old man! I don't know where you've been. You know, like, like he doesn't seem like somebody who, he doesn't even seem to like hardly Harley touching him as much as she does. Like, he'll accept it up to a certain point, and then he's like, yeah, get off me, I've got work to do.
I've watched him push her.
Yeah, several times. So that just strikes me as a little odd that, you know, one, the Joker would allow himself to have that many tattoos and be that blatant about it. Like, if he's going to be blatant, he's blatant in the way he does his plans or his capers, not tattoos. You know, not that I have anything against people with tattoos, it's just this character in specific never seemed to need them before. I'm
saying tattoos could have been okay so long as it wasn't just words. Words that say who he is and what he does.
Right.
That I think he could have been a heavily tattooed dude, and that would have been an interesting reinterpretation of him for a new generation, but just don't give everything away from one shot, you know?
Now the one thing I could explain away from his costume, or the look that we got at him, was the grill on his teeth. Like, some people saying, like, really, you had to give him a grill, you had to make him look really prisonish. And one person brought up a good point. Well, if by this point he's had history with the Batman, technically he's been punched in the face quite a few times, so maybe he would need some reinforcement on his teeth. So I was like, okay, fine. I can rationalize that. That makes sense, and that shows backstory. Like, I've got a history with Batman, so therefore I've had to reinforce some teeth. Which is the same way I would hope, and not to get off topic, but if we see, like, Ben Affleck with his shirt off in Not Quite Justice League, I want to see some scars. You know, if he's an older, seasoned Batman, he's been through some stuff. So we need to see that.
Alright, well, we need to wrap this up because we're right at the end of our hour. So.
Right. So, long story short, that's what we think of these characters. Yes, we still need a trailer to fully be able to judge for certain what the characterization is going to be. I can at least say I'm not a fan, and you're saying...
I need to wait to see more.
Also because you're not as familiar with the characters.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's that.
Alright, so then we're going to wrap up this episode of Beyond the Black Rims. Next week's episode is going to be the last one for the season, and then we're taking a
short break.
A 4-week break before coming right back into Season 5, which should have some updates, some alterations, and I do believe I'm going to start hosting the later video updates on channelawesome.com, so I'm looking forward to seeing some more people then. If you are watching this on YouTube right now, that's great, although it would be really cool if you came down to join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central, and you can hang out with all these other cool people who are over here, I guess, somewhere over here, chatting over in the chat room right now, and then we're about to go into an additional half hour where we're just gonna chat and shoot the breeze with people and answer some questions, do some Q&A time, and you can join people doing that every Thursday night as well, after the show.
Yes. And during the week, you can always talk to us over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnight1st.
And I'm at MarsGirl.
So, that having been said, that's been this episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We will see you guys next week.
Good night.